Thank you, Tom, for my magic wand. I told you all the story about the wand and Dr. Maxine. So this theme of creating magic in our lives, it's really based on a book by Elizabeth Gilbert, a new book called Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear. And our goals were to explore the attitudes, the approaches and habits that we need to uncover our hidden treasures, face our fears, and trust the universe. All of which leads us to our most creative, magical lives. The lives that Spirit intended us all to live. So last week we explored having the courage to discover the hidden treasures that are within us. And we uncovered a very few important points that laid the foundation for our work this month. So first, we have a definition and had a definition of creative living. And to me, and in the context of this month and the book, creative living was defined as a life that is driven more strongly by, does anybody remember? Curiosity than by fear. And a life in which we bring forth from us that which brings us joy and fulfillment, and which truly, in turn, blesses the world. Secondly, we said that every one of us, no exceptions to this, has within us hidden treasures, that when we uncover them, will bring forth that which brings us joy and fulfillment, and which in turn blesses the world. And thirdly, what holds us back from discovering these hidden treasures and living a life of joy and fulfillment and blessing the world is our fear, which according to Gilbert, do you remember what she called it? Boring. She writes, quote, "Our fear never changes, never delights, never offers a surprise twist or an unexpected ending. Fear is a song with only one note, only one word actually, repeated at full volume on an endless loop. Stop. We're all equipped with the same basic fear package. There's nothing interesting or compelling or original about it," end quote. That's what she wrote. And then she poses a question that I posed to all of us last Sunday. And here was the question. Do we really want to build our lives around the most boring instinct we have? And sometimes, and here's a bit of magic, sometimes life just won't let us be driven by our fears, no matter what. So I brought this cute little clip I'm going to show you. It's about 1 minute long, but you'll get the point. What's going on here, Larry? All right, let's go. I don't know if they're saying I don't remember.
Or like I said, life gives you a little push.
That's exactly right. We're shit one time, but another. So, now that we've even found some magic in our fear, let's embrace enchantment. So the word enchantment is defined as the quality that attracts and holds our attention, a magic spell. Today we're going to explore the magic spell that occurs when we ourselves are enchanted by our own inspiration. And here is how inspiration functions according to Gilbert. It's a fascinating twist. Think about ideas as energetic life forms floating around in the ethers. Think of them as one aspect of the creativity of Source. God, as creativity, is an infinite number of formless ideas floating around. The open part of the Science of Mind V, which you all have seen in my ring and in our symbols, represents this. At this point, the ideas have no material body. But in Gilbert's viewpoint, they do have consciousness and are driven by a single impulse, and that is to be made manifest in the physical world. The trick for many of these formless ideas is that the only way they can be made manifest in our world is through collaboration with a human partner. Interesting outlook on this, isn't it? Therefore, ideas spend eternity swirling around us, searching for available and willing human partners. And when an idea thinks it's found somebody who might be able to bring it into the world, say one of us, it will pay us a visit. It will try to get our attention. Chances are fairly good that we won't notice. Perhaps we're so consumed by our own dramas, anxieties, distractions, insecurities, and duties that we aren't receptive to inspiration. We might miss the signal because we're really doing important things, like watching TV or brooding over how angry we are at somebody or pondering our failures and mistakes or other really important activities that occupy our time and headspace. The idea will try to wave us down, perhaps for a few moments, perhaps for a month, perhaps for a few years. But when it finally realizes we aren't open to being enchanted by its inspiration, it will leave us and move on to someone else. But sometimes, Gilbert writes, quote, there comes a moment when you're open and relaxed enough to actually receive something. Your defenses might slacken and your anxieties might ease, and then magic can slip through. The idea, sensing your openness, will start to do its work on you. It will send the universal physical and emotional signals of inspiration. The chills up the arm, the hair standing up on the back of your neck, the nervous stomach, the buzzy thoughts, the feeling of falling in love, and then, in a quiet moment, it will ask, do you want to work with me? End quote. I don't know if anybody ever had that experience, but I think that we all have had the opportunity to have that experience. And maybe we've received and accepted it, maybe we haven't. At this point, of course, you have two options on how to respond. The simplest answer, often the easiest answer, and sometimes the right answer for you, is to just say no, and then you're off the hook. The idea will eventually go away, and you don't need to be bothered with it. It may not be the right time for you, and it may not really be the right idea for you. Gilbert writes, quote, I have many times been approached by ideas that I know are not right for me. and I politely said no to them. I'm honored by your visitation, but I'm not your girl. May I respectfully suggest that you call upon, let's say, Barbara Kingslover. I will always try to use my most gracious manners when sending an idea away. You don't want a word to get out around the universe that you're difficult to work with. Whatever your response, do be sympathetic to the poor idea. Remember, all it wants is to be realized. It's trying its best. It seriously has to knock on every door it can, end quote. So you might say no, and that's perfectly fine. But when you say no, nothing happens at all with you, and the idea moves on to someone else. But here's something really important to get. Have any of you ever had an idea, decided for whatever reason not to pursue it, and then seen the same idea brought into form by somebody else, and you think, hey, they stole my idea? Well, we don't ever get to think that again, because we, my friends, were not enchanted enough with it, so it found somebody else who was. No blame, no guilt, just complete personal responsibility, which is an important aspect of our New Thought teaching, isn't it? In Creative Mind and Success, our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote on page 32, quote, "We are created as individuals, and as such, we have the power of choice. What we need to do is select what we feel to be right and know that the universe will never deny us anything. We choose, and mind, with a big M, creates. We should endeavor to choose that which will express always a greater life," end quote. And then Charles Fillmore in Unity, he had a book called Atom Smashing Power of Mind. I don't know if you're all familiar with that. He wrote this, quote, "Choice lies with you. The mind dictates the model according to which the body shall be manifested. Therefore, as man thinketh within himself, so he is." So we have the choice to say no and let the idea go somewhere else. Then again, sometimes inspiration that will express a greater life, lands on us, and we receive the universal physical and emotional signals of enchantment. The chills up our arms, the hair on the back of our neck, all those things. What then? Well, we can approach it with fear. Oh darn, here it is again. Or, can I do this? Fear of, can I do this? Am I good enough? Will it work? All those ideas we explored last week. Once again, the list continued to go on and on and on, as you recall. If not, you can see it on the YouTube channel. We can be stopped and not give that particular idea any form or any of our energy. Or we can embrace enchantment, be entirely mesmerized by the idea, roll up our sleeves and get to work. More great words from Ernest Holmes in Creative Mind and Success support this idea. On page 67 of that book, he says, quote, "When we feel that we do have the right leading, when that something inside us tells us that we are led, then no matter what it appears like, we must follow it up. Something beyond our intelligence is doing the thing through us, and we must do nothing to contradict it. Great men and women are the ones who get a vision and then go to work to make it come true, never looking to one side, but with one-pointedness and calm determination, stick to the thing until it is accomplished," end quote. So I'm going to give you an example of being enchanted by inspiration and then sticking to something till it's accomplished. There was a current reality show that I happened to stumble upon. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. It's called Face Off. And I'd never seen it before. And I happened to be, flipping through channel surfing, and I came across this show. And I got pretty intrigued. So I watched the next to last episode, and then I wanted to see who was going to win the whole shebang. So I tuned in to watch the final episode. And in the next to the last episode, there were 3 finalists, Evan, Nora, and Ben. And they were told they were going to make a short film for their final project, and that they had to create 2 creatures in it. At the end of that show, they were surprised with the information that the scripts had been modified, and now they each had to create a 3rd character. Interspersed throughout the show were statements from all 3 of them. I'm sure this is how all reality TV show goes, but I don't usually watch that. So here I was. I wanted to watch the last episode to see who won. Well, Ben and Evan said yes to their inspiration. They coupled it with fear. In the mini interviews, they spoke of their fears, their concerns, their work wasn't good enough, feeling like they didn't have enough time to get the 3rd character complete, fearing the judges wouldn't like what they did. Well, Holmes tells us in Creative Mind and Success on page 68, quote, this is a biggie, we cannot think one way, one day, and change our thought the next, and hope to get the desired results. We must be very clear in our thought, sending out only such thoughts as we wish to see manifested in our condition, end quote. The 3rd contestant, Nora, she was very different. She had this, I'm pumped, I can do this kind of attitude. I'm going to give it my best shot. In the end, Ben's 3rd creature had some problems, and it was clear that he was not going to win. Although being in the top 3 wasn't so bad. But the final creatures of Evan and Nora were equally good. You couldn't tell from listening to the judges' comments which one they favored, but Nora won. And I don't have any doubt that it was her attitude and her courage and her refusal to be discouraged or to doubt herself or her abilities. She refused to give fear any power whatsoever, and I believe it was those qualities that brought her in as the winner. She lived Dr. Holmes' words in Creative Mind and Success when he said we cannot think one way and change our thought the next and hope to get the desired results. We must be very clear in our thought, sending out only such thoughts as we wish to see manifested in our condition. And I saw exactly what Gilbert was talking about in her book. She writes on page 78 of her book, all I know for certain is that this is how I want to spend my life, collaborating to the best of my ability with forces of inspiration that I can neither see, nor prove, nor command, nor even understand. It's a strange line of work, admittedly, and I cannot think of any better way to pass my days, end quote. So I guess the question this morning is, how about all of you? As you contemplate that answer, I want you to close your eyes and really contemplate the answer. How about you? Do you want to live your life embracing enchantment? Embracing enchantment of the inspiration that comes to you. Embracing inspiration, which is the creativity of God, landing on you as an idea. That's a big picture theoretical question, and I suspect every one of us would probably say yes to that. I want to take it down to a more personal level, though, and ask you a personal question. Is there an idea right now that has captured your attention? An idea that has inspired you, and maybe even given you that full-body response that we talked about this morning? Have you embraced the enchantment of that idea? Have you allowed that idea, that inspiration, to take hold of you, to grab your attention, to put a magical spell over you so that you move forward and do whatever step is next for you to bring that inspiration, that idea into fruition in your life? knowing that as you do, you are living creatively, which is the way you came here to live. Knowing that as you do, you're bringing joy and fulfillment not only to yourself, but to the world. Knowing that as you do, you're being who you came here to be. So if the answer to that series of questions is yes, then my prayer for you this morning is that in knowing that there is one source and one creative energy that lives, moves, and has its being as each of us, I proclaim that we take that divine idea, that we take that inspired thought, that we take that nudge of supreme intelligence and become so enchanted with it that there's nothing we can do but bring it forth. And that we have the courage, if that's what it takes, to take the next step. And when necessary, we ask the question, what is the next step? And we are led, we are guided every step of the way. And as Ernest Holmes said, the outcome is assured because the supreme being is at work in and through our life. So for this, I really think we need to celebrate. And I'm grateful not only for us and for the experience that we have to live this way, but for the blessing to the world that we are. Because as we do these things, and as we act in these ways, we absolutely bring goodness and joy and peace and love and fulfillment and prosperity and happiness to the world. We become a living embodiment of the creation of a perfect world. I think that's pretty beautiful. And I'm thankful for that, and I celebrate that. And that celebration, I really have a prayer that I know that it's the law's job to bring all this about in a perfect way. I trust and know it for each of us individually, and I trust and know it for us collectively. Because we're not just individuals, we're also a community. And this is true for the community as much as it is for each of us individually. And so I'm going to pray us out with that prayer in mind. So for myself and everyone present, this is what I know. I know that indeed every day we are absolutely nudged by ideas, inspiring ways in which we can bring our gifts and talents into the world, bringing us joy and fulfillment and blessing the universe. I know for myself and everyone present and for this community as a whole, that each idea that shows up brings forth greater good for ourselves, individually and collectively, and that each one of us has all that is required already to bring into our experience the good, the wonderful, the creative ideas, the inspired ideas that show up and tap us on the shoulder. And that each one has an opportunity to say yes to the one that speaks to him or her and bring that idea into form with grace, with ease, with all the support the universe has to offer. So right now, I accept for myself, for everyone present, for this community as a whole, that whatever inspired idea is right for each one of us, we step up in courage. We say yes to bringing it into form, because this idea is looking for a human partner. And I know that each one has all that is required for this to come into manifestation. So with gratitude for knowing that this is so, with absolute complete confidence and expectancy, I release this prayer and I allow it to unfold perfectly, effortlessly, gracefully for myself, for everyone here, and for the collective good of this community. And so it is. So inside of our program are four, as our prosperity affirmation, but I want to give it